Howdy, howdy. It's Jordan, the Dreadful DM. I guess that's the name I'm going with now, so that's pretty cool. And I'm here with another entry of the Diaries of the DM video series I have going on for my players and anyone else who decides to stumble on my small little channel, so that's pretty cool. But, so, I'm getting ready for another session that's going to be occurring tomorrow, I believe. And yeah, tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. Compared to last session, last session was very roleplay heavy, very investigation focused, that kind of noir thing going on, trying to piece together all the players that are currently available in the schemes of the cult, I guess you could say, that it could possibly be participating or be the culprits themselves. So, worrying about stuff like that and investigating, finding new friends, getting weird vibes from people, that type of thing. So it's very much like role playing, trying to talk to people, doing this and that, which came to some mixed success. My group is not very, but kind of a little antisocial, a little shy, so sometimes it's hard for them to kind of open up, hard for them to kind of get in the mindset of being an investigator and kind of growing, not just being themselves, but also kind of being the character, the whole role-playing aspect of it, which can sometimes be hard because we're not trained actors, we're not thespians. Sometimes it's hard to be in the mindset of this like character you have in this world, but in reality, it's just kind of you still. We're not to the point where it's like, we're not like Brendan Lee Mulligan out here who's able to pull some very in-depth, diverse character right out of his ass, type of thing. Nothing against him. He's really great. I didn't mean that as a diss or anything, but we're not to that quality of a player or a DM. Because even I have a hard time. Sometimes a lot of my characters do kind of homogenize into one type of character. And I can always notice when I was like talking with that, like a particular NPC or someone for a while, I always end up using some of my, normal vernacular, like y'all throws in there. Like this person, this, 1940s jazz singing woman would not say y'all, So I'm not sure if you heard that, but my cats are having a little kerfuffle in the background. I think they're kind of bickering over food. No, they're just kind of relaxing, but we're good. So, yeah. But yeah, that was last session. Kind of a lot more of the roleplay. Based on side of the campaign. This next session, though, I'm confident in saying I don't have to speed this up and cut it out like I did last time, and like have my voice in from future Jordan come in. Is this time is going to be more action based, so that's a good time. I'm getting better at looking at the camera, not looking over here. I feel like I'm looking at the camera more, and I will say I'm a little damp. I just got out of the shower. I just worked out, so workout by the way, 5'8" by the way. But yeah. So this next session is going to be a lot more combat based, a lot more, actually using the action economy and not just being like, can I roll perception? No, but it's not going to be like, okay, you step outside. There's going to be 5 goblins right now that get ready to roll. Well, this time now they've been mingling with a bunch of people and been talking to people, and that most likely probably tips someone off to like the adventuring investigators are here. So they're going to probably tip someone off. Someone's going to want to lead them, try to track them, see where they are, see what they're doing, and basically try to jump them essentially. With what I have going on currently, in my current mindset, this might change within a day. You never know. Maybe on the day, it's like, you know what? Never mind. Like right as soon as you get out of this, speakeasy, you're in a fight or something stupid like that. But mostly, it's gonna be like they're gonna start walking back towards the end, kind of discussing about what's going on, all the happenings, like trying to piece together everything that's occurred thus far. And in all this, the character Nephris, the kind of NPC, I have to kind of guide them or push them in some sort of way or kind of use comic relief depending on how well the party is kind of moving the story along and such. Sometimes you might need a little nudge here and there from an NPC to be like, hey, and not like, in very basic terms, let's go that way. But no. So this whole last session, and Nephris was very much, he was just a drunk, he was kind of in the corner being, and doing stuff like that because the party seemed to be handling very well and seemed to be asking the right things. The dice rolls were kind of rough, but we seemed to be going in the right direction with everybody involved. But I'm going to have something with Nephris kind of break down everything that's happened. Like, he's like he's sobering up a little bit. He has a bad headache. His flask had run out of his drink. Basically, Netflix is gonna. I was about to say something, but it's like I don't want to cut that out just in case we don't hit that. So never mind, because my players do watch this. Hello, assassin. Hello, my fiance. Hello, possibly, Alex. So howdy. Hope y'all doing good. Didn't see my wave, but there we go. Yeah, I have seen myself in the OBS and like the right. So that's nice. But yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good at looking at the camera, so I'm pretty happy about that. I think I'm getting better with talking in general. I'm trying to enunciate my words a little bit more because when I'm kind of a little bit anxious, a little bit worried, I tend to speed through my sentences and just start chucking them out, and that's something have been actively trying to fix and trying to slow down, and that also helps my D&D campaign. So when I'm trying to rush through something, it does when I'm trying to speak, not try to rush through something, but when I'm trying to get something across, that I don't just run away with my words. So try and get better at that. So I'm going to try to force myself, because if I get better here and just talking to myself and practice with it, then I can get better in real life when I actually have to deal with, adult things like work or bills or stuff. So, but yeah. Also, I do realize the mic quality is not the best. I'm not going to say it's trash because I've dealt with worse, but you could tell it's very much it gives vibes of old 2016 type of YouTube videos, of guys just kind of hanging out and talking. I eventually might upgrade this mic, not purely just for this, because this very well might go nowhere in terms of this. This might be just a little thing for myself and my friends, but also for D&D. I feel like a lot of times this mic doesn't pick up everything I say. So when I'm talking and explaining something, I'm like, "Are you still talking?" I'm like, "God bless America and all allies, dude, Jesus." So, yeah. But back to the session. Sorry, little tangent there. I apologize. And that first is going to have a come to Jesus moment. Wait a second. Well, nothing is really adding up. This is kind of all weird. Depending on the people we've met, I'm not going to say I don't have it fully planned. I never fully plan. Oh, he's going to say this or this or this. I'm not a screenwriter. I'm not, I'm not going to write a whole screenplay about this. I'm not a professional author. I'm not fucking, what's her name? J.K. Rowling. Haha. I don't like her for other reasons, but this is nothing about all those things on the outside world. This is about D&D. But yeah, so he's going to have a little bit of come to Jesus talk and be like, wait, nothing's adding up. Wait, what about this? What about this? I feel like we met there we go. Hello. Kind of fumbled my words there. Might have given it a little too much. So there we go. It's a very 3-second cut, but it's very important. So he's going to cut that whole part out. But he's probably going to be like, we talked to the murderer today. Oh my God. Who were they? Which one of those people were? Essentially, he comes to this whole, epiphany of realizing, I said I wasn't going to use the word epiphany, but realization that wait, this is insane. We probably are in a bad spot right now because they know all about us, but we hardly know anything about them type of situation. And the way I'm going to have this, I have them walking back through the dark streets of the city, and they're kind of talking and realizing this, and they come to this kind of not cul-de-sac, but a kind of small, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a city street, but it's not an alley because there's houses surrounding it. It's kind of squared off a little bit. I might throw an image right here, not well, I just might flash it now. You see what I mean? Yeah, might have an image like that, but with the lights still on, and you can tell people are still active and up and such, and they're kind of discussing all this, but it's they're talking out loud, so Nefris is kind of going insane a little bit. So you realize everyone starts wondering what the hell is happening outside, and they start hey, calm down. And then they notice that all the lights kind of turn off, something might be happening. Everything was kind of still lively, even though it's a little bit later into the night. It's 11 p.m. Depending on how old you are, 11 p.m. is you're dead asleep, or you're oh dude, it's early. It's one of the two, depending on what side of 2000 you were born. So. So yeah, so that's fun. So they're gonna do all this, and then all of a sudden, all the lights are gonna go off, from all the houses around, and they're gonna be oh, that's kind of interesting. And all of a sudden, any type of ambient noises, from the rats, digging in the trash cans, to any of the owls flying over, to any kind of movement in the buildings, whether it just be soft talking with families or anything, kind of just goes dead silent again. Very similar to how I described the woods in the prior session, the woods surrounding the speakeasy. And they start getting a little bit eerie, kind of ooh, something is not right now. And so they continue walking. They walk ahead back towards the inn. They're about to cross one of the bridges back towards the south side of town, which is where the inn is located. And there is the bridge I have. I'm going to do a little retcon, and like the main image I have, the overview of the town, the bridge is just a small little thing. But in another image, haha, getting better at editing. Haha. Not sure why I'm doing over here. Like it's gonna pop up. That's something I'm gonna do and edit. But I'm a dumbass sometimes. So, the bridge I'm gonna have is a lot more extravagant. Like there's houses strewn across the bridge on the edges. People trying to cramp themselves into this tight city space a little bit and try to make the most of like what they have available to themselves. But this bridge is very much a narrow passageway, very easy to get ambushed or very easy to get surrounded and closed off any like obvious exits. So when they're walking, they might realize a couple of things that most of them being followed. I mostly plan Barrett or Fala to kind of pick up on the fact they're being followed. And depending on who rolls what or who rolls what and who decides to actually act on it, it goes down a couple of ways. Like if it's Barrett, they realize he's a previously, hostage rescue guy, very meticulous, very orderly, keeping everything in track, making sure all his numbers are right, all his team members are around, and being able to pick up any small noises. So when he's walking, he keeps track of like the amount of footsteps he has. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of footsteps, and then I keep on going, and then I explain a little bit more what's happening. The kind of dim city lights, the small rustlings of the trash cans, maybe from a rat or something. But as you move across the bridge, it gets quieter and quieter. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of footsteps. As you cross the bridge, you notice some stall carts that still have some of the old vegetables and like fruits on the outside. Some stuff that are, stuff that vendors would sell during the day. You're trying to make some extra cash money from any produce they didn't sell at the other point, or maybe that is the main profession, depending on how the lives go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of footsteps. And he hears that and he's like, oh, that is concerning. That is interesting. We should probably stop. And everyone's like, oh no. And depending, he has a high perception, so I'll let on to something like, hey, that high passive perception. So he was like, hey, he noticed that some things are not hearing correctly, but he noticed some oddities around him and weird, obscure things that probably wouldn't normally happen in the night. By the audio cue, visually, or however that may be. See, I love having a camera in this way so I can talk and be like audio and also point to my ear, visually point to my eyes, verbally fucking my ass because I talk out my ass. Gotcha. That was a good one, you gotta admit. I'm so funny. 5'8", by the way. Workout, by the way. But yeah, and for like Barrett, that's how it would kind of work out and such. And him and the way however he rolls, the way it breaks out, and that's how he would describe it. And not describe it, that I would describe it in whatever way it breaks out and whatever way he wants to look at, and where, hey, let's focus over there, let's focus over here. That's how D&D works. I'm not going to go too far into that, because if I plan too much in certain areas, it might not ever get like touched upon, or he might not even figure out, or he might not do it. So it might be like a whole waste of time to write every single action that I might do, or every single thing. So I've learned that that's 100% the way not to do it. It leads you down, I guess, like sorrowful paths of just pages and pages of unused dialogue and scenes and stuff. And I want to avoid the thing where it's like, I have this kind of whole scene plan, like meticulously from this and this and this and this, going a list of things, of various actions, various people. But in the end, it turns out like, oh, they really don't interact with it. So it's like, oh, I plan to have that for like half the session. So, once again, I've talked about this so many times, but just kind of find a way to maneuver it, maybe get them way to engage with it more or to avoid it more. Also, my cats are, I think they're playing with each other. They're going insane. But they're not clawing each other up. I think they're just like chasing each other around, being goofy little gals. But I also see a dog pooping outside my window. Luckily, I hope the owner picks it up, because that's cool. But though I don't walk like on the rocks out there, because dogs poop there. But yeah. So yeah, and that's how Barry would kind of go about it and kind of, dissect the situation with Fala. He's more of a wizard. He might pick on... Fala, the way he plays his character, Fala, is that he always likes to be a loner or likes to walk backwards, like mysterious kind of guy. So he's always like, I believe it was either 20 or 10 feet. I think he moved it to 20 feet recently, like behind the rest of the group. So I imagine that when he's walking, it might be like, as he's walking, he notices kind of shadows dart and like these long grotesque shadows very quickly dash across like the different alleyways. You might notice that he hears something more close to him. You might hear like the sorry, small cut. Haha, I'm getting better with this whole editing stuff, I think. So that's pretty cool. I know there's a way to kind of mark it in OBS or something. Like I know professionals do it that kind of make it easier for editing later on. So I just have to remember this at 60 minutes in. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, just describing a different way Follow would do it. Like he notices these grotesque shadows that are shooting across the walls of an alleyway very brief seconds as he's walking behind them. He notices the settling of a trash can lid as it's been tipped over, and the nice ringing sound rings out right next to him. He gets maybe a whiff of some like foreign smell, very very foreign. There you go. I used the word foreign smell that is not of this place. Of this Louisiana-based type of marsh town. It's very much more of maybe a high-strung cologne or something that's very present in compared to everything else, and that might go that way with it. So yeah, and then from there they have a whole battle. Jesus, they have a whole battle depending on how they interacted, what they kind of sussed out before. For basically the two extremes I have is that either they somehow find the people. Yeah, sorry, I kind of had a spaz there. They locate the people who are trying to jump them and try to corner them prior to the cultists. Sorry, I'm not sure why I'm gonna be quiet with it. The team is gonna literally interact with these guys within the first hour, so I think it's fine if I say cultists right now. I'll be very, very confused if they don't do it within the first hour. So, but yeah. The cultists, they might get the jump on the cultists and get a surprise around them. Other extreme is that the cultists get the jump on them completely if they suck at the rolls, if they don't figure it out. Yeah. So then I plan to have this whole big battle with the cultists and members and some mercenaries they hired. See, I need to slow down with my speech and talking and such, and try to beat them up essentially. And how that might play out, I have a fair number. I think I'm going to have 4 or 5 cultists and then 2 to 3 of some like high-level mercenaries that have to fight. Depending on how it goes and how everything might be, I might make things a little more easy using Nephris to kind of be like, oh, I might accidentally TPK these guys, fucking fireball, or I might, let Nephris kind of be in a still of a drunken stupor if the team is handling pretty well. And then I'm also gonna probably do a little bit of roleplay towards the end with either interrogation and also mingling with people at the inn. There's gonna be some people that were at the speakeasy that were all now playing at the end. There's a little more joyous time. They didn't realize a whole basically giant shootout and confrontation happened like a couple blocks away, so they're still chilling, they're still relaxing. There's a mandatory curfew installed, but they're already inside, so they have like their dinner stuff out. The end has has this, and the communal space has dinner ready and such, and they can mingle and interact and stuff. And depending on how far they get, because I know the combat might be a little while, might be like an hour and a half, or Jesus, that might be long, maybe like an hour. I expect the whole session in total to be 3 hours. So the mingle there, they do interrogation, and then also the beginning when they talk with Lucy at the speakeasy. Roughly 3 hours. Might be a little more, might be a little less. What is the little one doing, dog? They're playing with cardboard. Oh, that's fine. It's just cardboard. It's whatever. But yeah, sorry, you just saw my whole back there. But yeah, so I probably just stop talking there for now because I'm not sure how much we're gonna get through it. I might have to add some stuff at the end depending on how far they get through or how fast they get through. So fun times. But yeah, so that ends pretty much the D&D section of this. I have just a small little yap session at the end. I have posted another yap session, well, not another, but just a yap session like a day or two after the Diaries, this last entry of the Diaries of the DM, Dreadful DM, blah. But yeah, I just like talking. I have a lot to talk about, and I have a lot of stuff to get into, and I've been just doing stuff. I've been trying to see, after talking for 20 minutes, of just straight talking, my ability to talk tanks, but I like doing it, so you're going to hear me flub some words. My God, okay. once again, if I calm down and I slow down and I kind of enunciate my words and think through what I'm saying, I won't have embarrassing instances of this. But I'm still gonna do it. But yeah, some fun stuff like that. So yeah, but that's pretty much what we'll talk about there. I've been trying to get into more interest, trying to do more fun things with my time, not just doom scroll Instagram reels. You know, it's fun doing that, but it's not too productive nor healthy for the mind. Also, with so many things happening in the world, the day this is posted, you'll see it's pretty recent events that have been happening around everywhere, and it sucks. And I kind of want to do stuff that I'm not just worrying about the doomsday clock hitting midnight essentially. So. Yeah, I've been reading this book right here, Don Quixote. It's a pretty fun book. Yeah, kind of in focus. You don't need to say it's kind of faded right there, but I've had this book for a little bit now, like not a couple months, and now I decided to really pick up reading it. I'm trying to increase my golly, dude, them going insane back there, but I'm trying to increase my not vernacular, but like overall speech ability, essentially. Kind of get some new words in there, trying some. Find better ways to talk to people without using 6-7. I don't use that, but type shit. But trying to get my brain exercise essentially. And I've been exercising very consistently for a couple months now, since February, I believe. So what is it, 7 months of consistently going to the gym and working out, and I've just been trying to be more healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, and everything. And reading has been helping with that. I've been trying to get more interest. I'm into magic. I showed you my magic cards. I still have them. I don't want to show. Yeah, I probably want to show that, actually. It shows my address. I don't want to show that. But but I'm going to more magic cards. Like in my Yap session, I had a whole, Magic the Gathering pack opening. So original to, I'm a pioneer. I am a trailblazer on this field. Truly. I'm going to do a pack. And guess what? I'm going to do a collective booster pack opening. I know. So original. That's not a diss against anyone, but I like doing it. I like magic. That's one thing I've been doing. Something to spend my time and my money on. So that's great. And been reading more. I'm getting into the 40K lore and that 40K stuff. I've been kind of dipping my toes in here and there, trying to learn a little bit and trying to, absorb as much as I can as with that if it comes my way. I've been watching Paul is Bad at Stuff. He's a 40K tabletop player on YouTube. He posts some fun things. I don't know anything about the tabletop 40K. It's expensive to get into, that's what I know, and I'm not too interested in that. Maybe in the future, if I, once I get, more settled and no longer in a studio apartment, I might go into something like that, might dip my toes into that whole realm. But I've been looking at getting one of the books, getting right into lore. I forgot it was which book in particular it was. That's like, hey, this is a great book to enter, whether you know something or nothing, depending on whatever. But I was in one of the omnibus. Is that how you say it? Omnibus? Omnibus? Whatever that is. But yeah, it was like that. That's like a pretty good introduction. So, but I'm going to force myself to read Don Quixote first and get, have all of my vegetables before I can have my dessert type of thing. So, not saying like Don Quixote is a bad book. It's having a great time with this. You can see that nice classic trope of, one guy who gets himself into trouble, another guy that's always bails him out type of deal. So, but I'm having a great time with it. I'm enjoying it. I've been hanging out with friends online because all my in-person friends are no longer in the city I live because they moved away. So that's fun. But yeah, fun times. I've been dealing with that, exercising, reading, playing Magic, playing games. I've been playing Baldur's Gate more, trying to explore more of that story. Like I did one storyline specifically with like Shadowheart and being a good guy, and now I'm being a little more morally dubious, but still overall being a good guy, but trying out the different dialogues with different people, seeing what they have to say. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, this is a 27-minute Yap session, dude. That's cinema, pure and utter cinema. No, but yeah, I've been having a good time. I don't have too much else to talk about. This is probably going to come out on Sunday because on Saturday I'm spending time with my family. So there we go. So I think that like Assassin, I'm sorry that it's coming out a day later. You don't even watch it on the day, so it doesn't matter. But to a random person who stumbles upon this, I God rest your soul, but I hope you appreciate you watching if you are. Also, thank you, my fiance, for actually watching and and hopefully enjoying it. It's me, so cool. But yeah, I got nothing else to talk about. I pretty much ran through everything that was happening with the session and talked a little bit about my interest. So yeah, uh, I have nothing else. So go take a walk. It's nice outside. Hopefully, depending on what time of the year you're watching this, but it's healthy for you mentally and physically. And yeah, be sure to stay safe out there. You guys have a good rest of your day. See ya.